Did the franchise die already, or is it on the fast track to dying? Fast and furiously. Hello everyone and welcome back to AustinPlus Commentary, where today we are answering the question, is the Fast and Furious franchise finally dying, or is it dead already? Now, we've got, 10 films, and all of them have got something that is different to each other, but some of them are better than others. Most of the new ones have fallen off, but how far are they willing to go until this is done for good? So, without further ado, let's get into it. Between 2001 and 2010, it was considered the rise of the Fast and Furious franchise, with the likes of Ludacris, Gibson, and obviously Vin Diesel really setting the tone for this franchise, along with Paul Walker. These movies were good because they showed the street racing elements, which is what people loved, but the franchise has evolved to bigger and unnecessary plots, especially nowadays. These movies were very street racing, a tiny bit of money involved to pay for the cars, and then obviously got some stunts with the cars. That's what appealed to people, but obviously there is a lot going on nowadays that just takes it too far over the edge. In between 2012 and 2019, it was at this point that we started to see the storylines evolve into major villains and heist and major villains coming back, and then years later you'd have spy operations that really didn't relate well to the original movies, so that spark almost deteriorated. This performance, however, was well received, but also put some people off, but also people brushed off the fact that it was new, it was spy stuff, but then they just went down that road and it just didn't make sense from this point on. The official decline point, I would argue, was between 2021 and 2023. Around Fast and Furious 9, it was considered the least well-received movie of the franchise, and it does make a load of sense if you think about it, because the story resorted around the whole idea of cyber and spy mission shit. It just didn't make sense. Yes, Fast X did have a bit of a storyline backstory to the Fast 5, and I like that correlation, but Fast X in total was horrible because they tried to go back to the OG heisting and street race thing, and they tried going both avenues, if you get what I mean. They tried going both ways, but it didn't make sense, and that's why this fell short. And also, Jason Momoa's character, don't get me wrong, I like Jason Momoa as an actor, but his character, it didn't serve any point. He was just a person with a vendetta. Don't get me wrong, there are many in this franchise that do have a vendetta, but he just didn't make sense. The older movies were good because they were very street movie, as I said earlier, which people enjoyed at the time. People also liked the cinematography demographics, such as the females, the cash prizes, and more. Now, one thing that people are concerned about is Fast X was technically supposed to be a part 1 to a Fast X 2, which is said to release next year. Now, I think they've scrapped doing that and they're going to just stick with a Fast and Furious 11 with a bunch of new actors, but it should end the whole franchise. But people are wondering, should they still do spin-offs? Now, that's a good question, because there are only one official spin-off that was released, called Hobbs and Shaw, with Jason Statham and Dwayne Johnson's character. Now, that was one of the best well-received projects of the whole franchise, honestly. And they were that was a very street movie, while it also moved a bit more into that Asian bit, but it also complied to the comedy. And it was since that point in the franchise was had declined, but this movie did do very well because of that comedy, and they still stuck to the whole lore of it. You gotta admit, it's very much like Mission Impossible. They went with the AI whole thing, and so did Mission Impossible. So I guess they're evolving with the world and hot topics. But I think if you were going to do that, you should have stuck to that rather than going back to that street racing stuff. Because in Fast and Furious 9, Cypher was a big character in that movie, with the likes of controlling John Cena's character, or Dom Toretto's brother. That was a good story. The movie wasn't well received. No, it wasn't. But it was very... It also kind of complied to the whole idea that they have they know what their element is, and it's also sticking to the times, but don't try and go back to stuff that is already, that it's like, let the past be the past almost. I don't know what other good routes they would go down. I definitely don't think expanding on the future is a good idea, but maybe exploring some people's characters is a good idea. But I think the time for Fast and Furious spin-offs, or like to build this franchise a bit more, that ship is sailed. I do believe that. So I don't think it's like the John Wick franchise. There's very little, but that's still got a fair bit more to go. But Fast and Furious, it's done. I think it's reached its ending point. But what do you think? Overall, is the Fast and Furious franchise dying, or is it dead already? Let me know in the comments below. But without further ado, everyone, that is the end of today's video. I do hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe and comment what else you would like to see on the channel. Yes, I know it was a short one, but you gotta answer these questions, don't we? It leaves you wondering. But I hope you have an amazing day as always, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!
Yeah.